Um, I I know Dr. Dr. Du is going to do an introduction of herself, so I'm just going to quickly say I'm really excited about this session, and we're heading into that moment, that time period that we all work so hard for. And I'm just thankful that we get to have an opportunity to hear from Dr. Du and kind of set our minds and get ready for this holiday ride that we're in for with the right tools and go into it with gratitude. Dr. Du, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Oh, this was exciting just to kick off with getting to know someone. Thank you, Regina, for that sharing. If this is what you do every time you come together, this is fabulous. This is exactly it. This is inclusivity. This is diversity. This is getting to know each other and building the kind of relationships that really build teams. So I'm so excited that this is a part of your culture. Fantastic. So we're going to have some fun today with the time that we have together. I'm just so excited to be here with you. We're going to have a little bit of research, a lot of interaction, and a lot of engagement with some new tools. At the end of our time together, you'll have a chance to talk to another person on the screen so that you have some of that one-on-one time as well. So I'm going to share screen here and see how we're going to go. So we're really focused on the concept of an invitation. Let me make sure I got this on screen. And I'm just so excited to be here with you today. What I'd like to let you know is if you're not on the, if you don't have your picture showing, I do invite you to do so just for this time that we're together. Amber, it's not coming on, so I'm not quite sure if...
I think it says it's end of slideshow, click to exit. So I don't know if you want to try to go further up if it's, because it was showing your screen a second ago.
Right.
Otherwise I can pop it up quick too if you want.
Why don't you do that? And then I'll just say next. Thank you.
Okay, one moment here.
So as she's doing that, I just really want you to be free to take this time for yourself. You took this time. You could be a number of places in this moment, but right now you're taking time for yourself. So this is an invitation to you. It's an invitation to reimagine how we are right now and where we're going through the end of the year and into the new year. So we're going to look at this in 3 different ways. The gift that you offer to the world, to your customers, to your clients, to your peers, to your family, the gift of you, and the gift to you. So we're going to end up with some best practices, some strategies, some tips for how to navigate this time that we have. Next, please. So as we create this belonging, this sense of belonging, this container, first of all, I just want to reinforce that I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for all that you do, all that you represent in this world. We want to set up an environment of confidentiality. So everyone that's on this screen, and when you get in your one-on-ones, you can exchange what you want and feel comfortable that not only are you respected, but it's confidential. And I really invite you to a sense of openness, because we're going to have some questions in here. Use the chat. That's what we're going to be doing, is using the chat as our way of communicating in an interactive way. So your chat is at the bottom. You'll see chat to everyone. Just respond on some of the prompts that come up. You also have a reaction screen, so you can show hands if you want to. The other thing that's going to be important is if you keep it on what we have now, which is the speaker view, you'll be able to see the slides. But when we get to gallery view, you'll be able to see everyone. The other thing I wanted to share is that I offer little tips, and I call them dewdrops. Why am I called Dr. Du? Because Denise Elizabeth Williams is my full name. And so I go by Dr. Du, my clients, my students, and friends. So feel free to address it as that for sure. But this is your time to honor yourself. Next screen, please. So just a little bit about myself. I'm a professor at Metropolitan State. You can put them all on at one time. Metropolitan State University, I'm a tenured and full professor, been there for 10 years here in the Minnesota area. Metropolitan State is a minority serving school with 52% underrepresented students, veterans, etc., and we've been around for 52 years. So it's very exciting. I teach entrepreneurship, diversity, organizational behavior, leadership, and human potential development. I've been walking in this world as a female, she, her, but also as an African-American who has really navigated myself through not just historically Black universities, but also Research One universities such as Wharton Business School and Kelley School of Business in Bloomington, Indiana. But even more important than that, I enjoy traveling the world and getting to know other cultures. So the perspective that I'm sharing with you today is really about celebrating the genius of everyone on this screen, celebrating the genius of everyone that's here. And it's really important that we take time for ourselves. Next screen. So I'd really appreciate it. You did a great job of adding your names and your organizations, but if you take a moment and just pop where you're from, in the chat, what part of the country or what part of the world, really would appreciate that, because we've already experienced the fact that we thank you, Houston and Chicago, Louisville, Georgia, Minnesota, Kentucky, Michigan, fantastic, Green Bay, wonderful, Toronto, fabulous, excellent, thank you. You can continue to load so that we know. Florida, fantastic. We're thanking you all for being here, but look at the diversity that we just experienced. Not only are you in a variety of organizations, small, large, but each of you are in different locations. So you're already dealing and having an opportunity to walk in your world in different environments. So that's important as we move through this conversation. And let's do the next slide. So we've come on the screen sharing that part, but let's take a look. I'm going to stop sharing. Why don't we stop share for a second, Amber, and let's put a gallery view on. Let's take a look at our peers. Look at this wonderful, it's almost like the Wizard of Oz, right? You're kind of looking in that screen. I see you, Tiffany. I see you, Robin. Take a look at, these are your peers. This is your family. Move the screen over if you've got more than one screen to look at people, but this is an opportunity to connect. You know, a lot of people had concerns when the pandemic came and they said, oh, we're not going to be able to be touchy-feely with each other. We're going to be on these remote screens. You can make these screens really a connection spot. The one thing about it is people can't say they're too busy for you because all they have to do is pop on the screen, right? You can meet people all over the world, which is a wonderful opportunity for your own expansion. So just take a look. Look at the deliciousness that's on this screen. These are your people. Fantastic. Amber, we can go back to the next slide, please. And we're going to talk about the gift you offer. I found a couple of facts that were so interesting. The next one is the gift you offer. We're going to talk a little bit about the psychology of gift cards. Now, I know most of us are looking at the micro part of what do we do every day? You know, I've got an emergency. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. But really, when you think about this, I want to share with you something about a bigger picture. Your role, whatever role you're playing in your locations, in your organizations, you're playing a role in a gift card market that as of 2022 was estimated to be at $899.3 billion. Did you get that? No matter what your slice of the pie is, you're a part of a bigger industry. You're a part of someone and something that is really making a difference. You can stop share, please. I just want to talk to us for a minute here. So even though the United States represents about 38% of that, what's important is when we talk about the psychology of this, the service and positive impact that you provide in both your organizations and to individuals is huge. So if we talk about reimagining ourselves, you can start to think of yourself as a midwife of joy. Because think about it, we're coming into the holidays. What's one of the main things everyone's going to be doing? They're going to be working with gift cards. 50% of consumers are going to have gift cards. Something called, there's a term called mental accounting. This theory is, it's a psychological phenomena that explains how and why we tend to assign a subjective value to our money, depending on how we earned it and the form it's in and how it makes us feel. So organizations are actually using these gift cards in a psychological way. They are actually using them. 71% of people say they would prefer a gift card as an employee benefit within their organizations. So think about this, guys. Not only are you a midwife of joy, but you are an influencer of industry. An influencer of industry. Two new things. Now, the gift card recognition provides to employees is really something that's really helping those organizations. Because, you know, in 2021, we had the Great Resignation. In 2022, we had this quiet quitting of employees. So companies have been really struggling with, what do I do? Do I help to incentivize my employees, or do I just watch them walk out the door? And so you're playing a major role in that. Even the Gallup surveys had something to say about employees. And they said employees that are emotionally fulfilled through appreciation and acknowledgement have more loyalty. They have more joy. And we have enough statistics that tie joy and happiness as an employee with productivity and well-being. In fact, we know that the workplace is identified as the #1 factor for stress in this country. Did you know that? The workplace. Anybody put yes in the chat if you can identify with that. But this is a new compilation, a new experience that we're having where this workplace. And so as an organization, they want to know, how can I cut costs on medical bills? And how do I have my employees to be more satisfied? The thing about these gift cards, when we talk about that accountability, that management accountability, is employees say, and people say, if you give me cash, that's like salary, and I'm going to use it for my bills. I'm going to use it to pay the bills. I'm going to buy groceries. But if I get gift cards, I feel like there's a sense of fun. I can use it the way I want to. So a third way of repositioning yourselves, reimagining yourselves, you're a midwife of joy, you're an influencer of industry, and you give the gift of fun. You give the gift of fun. So as you're moving through your days, particularly as we're moving into these holidays, and I'm sure everything's pretty amped up, just realize that you have a lot of contribution to the world, more than you can even imagine. Amber, if we could turn to the stress screen, stress management, but let's talk about this, because the next screen identifies that even though you have all these wonderful gifts that you're providing to the world, it's getting pretty crazy out there. It's getting crazy, not just in our organizations, not just in our lives, but in the world itself. Let's just do a quick check-in. Amber, you've got that poll. We're going to take a look at a scale from 1 to 10, and just go ahead and click, with 10 being the highest. What would you say your current lived experience of stress level right now is? Let's just see what we do here. Just real quick, we just want to do a check-up in the room. It's a holiday time, whatever you're doing in your organizations. Family time is coming up, deciding what you're going to do coming up, gifts yourself. Are we getting anything on the poll, Amber? Okay.
Yes, we have about 72% that have voted right now. I'll leave it open for just another couple seconds.
Great.
And I'll share those.
Just a quick engagement here. Where are you on that? Because we want to start talking about some best practices. One of the things we always get called into, is this whole concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That may give you some stress, but I invite you to reimagine it as relationships. How do I build relationships that are going to be helpful? How do I lean into the curiosity of everyone on that screen? How do I get to know you? So just as Regina started us out, wasn't that phenomenal to get to know someone at that kind of level? That's great. So what do we have? What do we have, Amber?
Quite a bit
Middle of
kind
the
of in
road.
middle of the road. Looks like
Okay,
no one did very stressed or least stressed. So
fantastic. Middle of the road. And that's a good place to be as we enter into these heavy duty time frames. That means that you've already identified some coping mechanisms, some best practices, and we're going to love to hear from you at the end of this conversation as we get into our one-on-ones. Next screen, please. So this is just a little bit to kind of give you an idea of where all this is coming from. It's not just your individual. So we've got all these different layers of what's happening in our worlds, our individuals, our families. If you're having issues within your own self, within your own world, and then your organizations, and then moving into the larger world itself. Next screen. So we're just going to take a moment here. I just want to take a moment to give you a dewdrop. This is our first dewdrop of really a practice that you can have to really identify how to calm yourself down, how to be in touch with the present moment at any time. Be in touch with the present that you are in the moment. And we're not ringing bells and we're not using mantras. We're just going to use our breath. So I'd invite you to join me just to get comfortable in your chair or wherever you are. Just get comfortable and block out everything. This is the only time that counts. You're the only one that counts. Just you and you in your time and in your space. If you want to get comfortable and straighten up your back and kind of shake out a little bit so that you're really in touch with your body, be open. Remember, one of our invitations was to be open and just to see. This is a little experiment to see if this 1 minute in touch with yourself can help relieve you of anything as you're moving forward. So you can either close your eyes or just dull your vision, focus on something that's in front of you, because this whole conversation, research identifies that when we focus on gratitude and we focus on even as something as simple as the gratitude of breath, we really tie and ignite these biological, neurological systems within ourselves that celebrate our wellness and celebrate our well-being, even when we choose to see things differently than how they've come to us, choosing a positive way of seeing a situation, seeing beauty as we move through. This gratitude practice can instantly shift your mood. So as we're sitting here and we're sitting upright, we're just going to focus on our breath. That's something we control. But don't focus on trying to make it come in and out right now. Just get in touch with when you're inhaling and when you're exhaling. When you're inhaling and when you're exhaling. Take a slow, deep breath. So when you inhale, you want to extend your stomach. So it's breathing in with the stomach, extend it. And when you breathe out, you can make a sound if you choose. And your stomach moves closer to your body, to your rib cage. Let's do that a couple times. And the invitation is to get in touch with if there's any place within your body that feels tense. Any place, do an inventory from the bottom of your feet all the way up through your calves, all the way up through your thighs, your stomach, your chest, your neck, head, arms, hands. Anything that doesn't feel like peace right now, just let it go with that outward breath. Now, thoughts are going to come in. That's okay. Don't be judgmental. Just let them go out with the outward breath. We're going to focus on the gifts that we have. The gift of life itself right now. The most precious gift of breath right now. The gift of all of our senses. Are you hearing things? The gift to see, the gift to smell, the gift of touch, the gift of resources in our lives, the gifts of people that we love or love us, the gift of our health in whatever form it's in, the gift of our freedom, the gift of our mind and being able to access it, the gift of choice in the moment, the gift of our lessons of life through our life, the gift of seeing the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024, and the gift of being in the circle today of our peers from around the country and around the world. There's just so much to be grateful for in this moment. And we know we can touch into this moment in any time for 60 seconds of our life, of our day, of our 24 hours, and just be in remembrance of all the good that there has been, all the good that there is, and choose the good in each moment of choice. So as we come back into our space here, we come back into our seats, we remember who we are and where we are, and we stretch and we move. And we just had that one moment, 1 minute of checking in with. I thank you for doing that heart-centered connection. And that's a tool that you can do at any time. Just taking that breath and connecting with this. So let's go to the next slide, because I want to share with you that, we said these 3 different levels of challenge. We talked about the stress. We talked about where we are. We, can check in where we are in the world. But hey, this is the season for the hero. This is the season for courage, like no other time in our lives. There's been no other time in our lives that, in fact, the statistics said that 44% of the country is more stressed now than they were 5 years ago. Think about 1,000 years ago, the only thing they really worried about was uncertainty and disease. And think about all the things we're having to deal with. So we're dealing in a whole different world now. And that's really important to recognize. And as we work into this space, I remember one of my mentors talking about the butterfly, the caterpillar and butterfly. Now, we always use that analogy as transformation, moving from the one stage, the old story, to the new story. But what she said was really important, and I share this with you. She says, once you're this butterfly, which is where you are right now, there's nothing that you learned as a caterpillar that is going to manage, that helps you as a butterfly. There's no skills that you learned in that old story that's going to help you in this new story. So we need to build new skills. We need to build new competencies, even if it's just for navigating in the world that we are right now. Next slide, please. I just use the slides to keep on track so that I'm managing and respectful of your time. So here's a tool here. I don't know if you've heard of Joseph Campbell. He's a famous mythological scientist, but he talks about this journey that we're all on, and it's constant. And what I have found by looking at this hero's journey, and we'll talk about these steps very quickly, but we're all in one of these steps at any given time. And if we can ground ourselves by knowing where we are, then that helps us understand what we need to do. So we start in the world that we're in. We're called to an adventure, whether it's a new job, whether it's a new product, whether it's a new task within our organizations. At first, it may have a little stress with it, but then eventually someone comes along and helps us. We have a mentor or a helper, and then we move through that threshold. We approach that challenge, and it does become a challenge. It becomes sometimes a warfare, a challenge with a budget, a challenge with a new product, a client, etc. And we move through the ordeal, and we actually move through until we get into success. And this cycle continues to happen with every decision process that happens. So as we choose to ground ourselves, just ground ourselves in knowing where we are, it gives us an opportunity to continue that area of gratitude. When we meet someone new that pushes our buttons, where does that take us? It may take us to warfare, but we have to take an approach that opens us up and says there may be something new here. Next slide, please. So as we move through these conversations, here's something else. Here's a 60,000. Could you put in the chat for me what you think 60,000 is? 60,000 what? When you see 60,000, what comes to your mind with that? I can't see the chat, so Amber, can you read anything that's coming in? Dollars. Oh, okay, I see dollars, yes. Breaths. Just did some breath work. Thank you. Let's get one more. Hours. Very, very good. Well, 60,000. There's scientists out of Stanford and also the National Foundation of Science says that we think between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts a day. And we probably are getting more and more thoughts. Oh, wow. Yes, absolutely. And the thing is, 80% of those are repetitive, what we thought the day before. And 80 to 85% of those are negative. Go figure. You wonder why we're stressed. You wonder why we feel like we're running up against a wall. 60,000 thoughts a day. So the next part of our conversation is really, what is it that we need to do? What are some of the tools? What are some of the best practices we can do with that? And when we think about all the people we meet and all the people we engage in, if we are having repetitive thoughts and negative thoughts that came from some part of our lived experience, maybe even childhood or how we grew up, how do we move to break that cycle? How do we move into being more open to our present moment and curious about the people in front of us, curious about the opportunity in front of us? The good news is that this is a part of something that we can control. Next slide. We can control it because the good news is our brains are what we call has neuroplasticity. I work with some neuroscience scientists in our college, in our university, and they've been fabulous sharing how our brains can change. We can do that with our thoughts. We can do that with our practices. Just that moment that you sat in, that silence and in that breathing started to contribute to what is happening in the brain. And a fabulous, if you haven't read Dr. Carol Dweck's work on mindset, I highly recommend it. She talks about this growth mindset. We choose what we're going to have. Are we going to walk into a new experience and be open to what that experience can offer? Or are we going to go back into those patterns of repetitive, negative? Are we going to be open to something new? And this is our choice that we have as we move through. Next slide. So this gift to you is where we're coming in now into our conversations with each other. This gift to you, some of us may look that this is our ship, we're navigating our own ships, and sometimes this is how we look. It looks like we're battling all the storms. But I love this saying from one of our African leaders that says, a dove struggling in a storm grows stronger than an eagle soaring in the sunshine. A dove struggling in a storm grows stronger than an eagle soaring in the sunshine. That basically means that that energy that we use to move out of our situations are gifts to us, that we're growing from them. We're adding to our growth mindset. The next time that situation comes, we have more capacity. Remember, we talked about these times, these challenging times are requiring more capacity. The next time you meet someone, you dig in curiously. The next time we see Regina, we dig in. There's a whole different experience of her and everyone else that has come in and shared their story. We invite the story, and the story opens us up to a new possibility. Next. So as we look at these experiences, when we talk about this gift to you, I love this iceberg picture, because most of the time when we meet someone, just like we looked on the screen, we're seeing 10% of a person. We're seeing the outside, right? We got a little bit more knowing where you came from. We got a little bit more with the organization. We may make some assumptions about the organization, but we're only participating in 10%. The only way to take that deep dive, like Jacques Cousteau, to go into the 90% of juiciness and understanding of who that person really is, their beliefs, their experience, their story, is to ask the questions. To ask, to be curious, to be engaged, to eliminate those assumptions, eliminate those repetitive negative thoughts that may be processing without us even knowing it. Next. So when we talk about that, I just want to share a couple of things, and then we're going to go right into our one-on-one teams. Please don't go away. This is the best fun, is to meet one other person and have an opportunity to share with them. But I wanted to share with you the gift. Byron Katie has a phenomenal program called The Works. And it helps you with disempowering beliefs that we have. I have students do things like, you know, the next time you're at the vending machine, why are you choosing the brand that you're choosing? Or the next time you use your toothpaste, how did you get to choose that toothpaste? What kind of belief systems came from way back when that you haven't ever questioned? So this work is phenomenal because she provides you 4 questions to ask about any belief system that you have. First of all, is it true? Is that belief true? And how do you know it's true? How do you know it's true? You know, you think about someone, they really have it out for me. They're doing me wrong. Is it true? How do you know it's true? But the bigger invitation is, what if it's not true? How would my life be different? How would my life experience be different if I was living from a different story? So she's got a lot of videos that can take you through all different kinds of situations. But I really give you this invitation because every time I bring this up from myself, you know, there's that old pattern that's running. It's the repetitive. Is it true? How do I know it's true? And what if it's not true? I can tell you from my lived experience that it has opened up my life. I remember being in corporate America. I was in corporate America for 20, 25 years with different leaders, with General Mills, with Robert Half International, with Falcone Building Advertising. And most of the time, my experience has been the only female and the only person of color. And so there was a lot of experiences that I had, but here's one that tells you, that shares with you, gives you an example of how this works. So I had a group of women at one of my organizations that would ask me out every lunchtime. Oh, we're going to the YMCA to go swimming, you know, lunchtime, our 50-minute lunchtime. And each time I would have to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't go. No, I'm sorry, I can't go. And of course, they started taking the rejection as, oh, she doesn't want to participate. We're trying to reach out to someone and they don't want to participate. So she's got an attitude. See how we went right to our old belief system. I finally took a chance and I said, let me have a different experience of vulnerability. And Brene Brown has some great works on vulnerability as a source of power. But I said to them, look, I don't have bouncing and behaving hair as an African-American woman. It could take me 2 hours to get myself back together after I went into a... I can't do it in 45 minutes. That opened up a whole different dialogue of conversation. It was just a matter of me taking a risk of being vulnerable and authentic and opening up to a different new connection. And they became a wonderful source of connection for me. We did other things other than that. So the next time something comes up that kind of triggers you, think about these belief systems. Think about what's happening for you. So you guys on this screen from all over the world are some of the best leaders in the world. And I really want to, let's take it to the screen of relational richness here. I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to connect with each other. And we're going to just have you with one other person instead of 2 and 3 and 4, so you don't have a chance to communicate. And what I'd love you to do is to start to just brainstorm on your best personally and professionally and moving into 2024. What are some of your tips? What are some of your secrets of moving through successfully? Is that everybody okay with that? Put yes in the chat. You good? Don't disappear. This is the part where you get a chance to meet one other person. Thank you. Thank you. I see yes. Great. So Amber's going to put you together. We're going to do about 8 minutes talking to each other. Then we'll come back and we'll wrap up and make sure we end on time. But this is really important for you to recognize the takeaways, the fact that you are a gift to others, that you are a gift to yourself. And now we're moving into some of the gifts to you that can help you navigate. So Amber, you ready?
Yep, I will go ahead and Dr. Williams, if you get put in a room, just feel free to bop out. I can't assign you as not a coach. So
right.
I'll do that right now. Thanks, everyone.
Welcome back. I don't see anyone having coffee. This is a coffee chat, right? Are we done with our coffee? Oh, there you go. All right. Good to see you. All right, we're coming back. Some people may have scooted out. But why don't we do this while we're coming back? If you have any thoughts, what were some of the takeaways that you had in terms of some coping, some things that you can add to best practices? Why don't we put them in the chat so we can start looking to see what we collect here. So for those of you that are just coming on, we're closing out by adding to our chat one takeaway, one best practice that we use or learned from someone else. We see deep breaths, great. Gratitude list, breath work. Notes, great. The wine and coffee and wine. There we go. Block time for the gym. I think I had reading. Appreciation of self, small bites, focus on one day or week. I'm so glad you mentioned that, Carice, because here's the thing. Multitasking is a myth. We think we multitask, but it's a myth. You just do a whole lot of things right behind each other because the brain can only handle one thing at a time. You just do it real fast, and then you wonder why you're stressed and tired, right? That is the truth. Well, thank you so much. I really want to open it up. If there are any final questions as we're adding in, they're going to save the chat so that you have a cumulative list of some best practices that can be helpful. I just want to summarize by saying I've been so grateful to spend this time with you, this coffee chat with you. Recognize the fact that you have so much to offer beyond what you even think you do. You're a part of a bigger organization, a bigger mission, and there are all kinds of ways to really check in and be able to connect with the world in a more curious way, in a more joyful way, because that's where we want to go. We want to go to that space of joy and gratitude. Any questions? Great. Thank you. I appreciate you too. Appreciate you. All right. Benita, do you have any final word, group, before we disappear?
No, just enjoy the moments, guys. We're in for the next couple of weeks of excitement that we've worked so hard for through the year. And I appreciate you and all of you and everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays and have some fun, guys. Have fun.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. And Dr.
Thank
Williams,
you.
appreciate
All
it.
right.
Happy
Thanks so
holidays.
much.
Thank you.